Right. So, welcome to this deep dive. Today we have a really fascinating document on the desk, the 2026 AAPPO Multifocal IOL Consensus.
Yeah, coordinated by Alió, right?
Exactly. And, if you're a refractive surgeon, I think you usually expect these consensus papers to just be slick marketing brochures. But our mission today is to look at why this specific paper is actually a brutally candid confession about optical compromise.
Oh, it is surprisingly blunt. I mean, you've got 25 top experts from 14 countries voting Delphi style on 47 statements. And honestly, what caught my eye wasn't what they agreed on. It was the one clinical rule they just completely fractured over.
Okay, let's unpack this, because to understand that fracture, we really need to look at how they frame simultaneous vision, right? Like
Yeah.
the idea that you're always managing an in-focus and out-of-focus image at the very same time.
Right. It all comes down to energy distribution.
Yeah.
I mean, if you spread the light energy uniformly, you drop peak intensity and, well, you get blur. But if you keep a central peak and spread the rest, you get halos. Diffractive optics generally handle this better than refractive designs, but you still pay a pretty hefty tax on contrast.
Wait, here's where it gets really interesting, though. We routinely blame the diffractive grating itself for that poor contrast. But, high-end camera lenses actually use diffractive optics to improve contrast by cutting chromatic aberration.
Oh, it's a great point.
Yeah, so diffraction itself isn't the inherent enemy. The contrast penalty comes from the simple physics of, splitting light energy across multiple foci.
Exactly. The lost contrast is literally just the toll you pay for multifocality. But what's fascinating here is that despite having this absolute lock on the optical physics, they have a massive blind spot where the panel just broke ranks.
You're talking about statement 7.4.
There's the angle kappa statement. I mean, across the 47 statements, most cleared the arbitrary 75% threshold for agreement easily, but 7.4 scored a dismal 54.5%. It essentially failed.
Wait, really? That low? I mean, think about how many surgeons treat a 0.5 millimeter angle kappa as absolute gospel. We look at that cutoff and just tell a patient, nope, no multifocal for you.
Exactly. But the literature the panel cites is wildly contradictory. I mean, some papers argue a large kappa degrades objective visual quality, while others find no effect on outcomes at all. One even shows excellent results, well above 0.5 millimeters.
That is wild when you contrast it with residual astigmatism over 0.5 diopters. I mean, that statement sailed through with 95% agreement.
Right, it's night and day.
The field is dead sure about astigmatism, but apparently we're all just guessing on kappa.
Yeah, and because the consensus is essentially flying blind on predictive metrics like kappa, they had to overcompensate in another area. They give you these highly specific, actionable guidelines for how to bail out a patient when they're unhappy post-op.
Because an IOL exchange is not a universal fix.
Far from it. If a patient presents with negative dysphotopsia in a perfectly centered lens, you are looking at reverse optic capture, not an exchange.
Right, right.
And if they have positive dysphotopsia from a posterior capsule fold, that creates a Maddox rod effect. So you need to step in with a Y-gazer to clear it.
Wow.
Or, for a fixed dilated pupil, you're looking at a pupillary circlage. The surgical fix has to exactly match the physical etiology.
And just as you have to match the fix to the pathology, there's a huge point here about matching your preoperative counseling to the patient's baseline, especially with the major warning they give about refractive lens exchange, or RLE.
Oh, the neuroadaptation difference is huge.
Yeah.
We've always known RLE patients struggle more with neuroadaptation than standard cataract patients, but
But the mechanism they highlight is so intuitive. In a cataractus eye, the post-op jump in overall light transmission essentially masks the new halos. But in a clear lens RLE eye, there's no pre-existing scatter.
right, there's nothing there to hide them.
It's literally like turning on a loud radio in a completely quiet room.
Yeah.
Those halos are perceptually much louder because there is zero background noise to hide them.
That is the neuroadaptation hurdle in a nutshell,
Yeah.
which is exactly why RLE demands incredibly strict selection and counseling.
Which highlights why you have to be careful about how you weigh a document like this in your clinic, right? A consensus paper is ultimately a measure of expert agreement, not necessarily data quality.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, yes, exactly. Delphi voting measures agreement, not data. A statement can hit 100% agreement and still rest on very weak primary evidence. That 75% cutoff is just a structural formality.
So what does this all mean for you in your practice? The true value of this AAPPO paper isn't that it gives you all the answers. It's an honest map of the field.
Yeah, every multifocal is a negotiated compromise with optics.
Exactly. You can move the trade-offs around, but you can't erase them. Meticulous selection and counseling will always beat chasing the trendiest ring pattern.
The optical trade-offs are permanent.
Which leaves us with a final thought to mull over before your next case. If this brutally candid consensus shows us that a unified front is sometimes just an illusion, how many patients are you screening out of multifocals based on a 0.5 millimeter angle kappa rule that the world's top experts can't even agree on?